Today we're going to learn how to graph quadratics in standard form. So this is what standard form looks like, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And here's our first example, y equals x squared plus x minus 6. Our a value here is 1, it's in front of the x squared. Our b value is also 1, it's in front of the x. And our c value is negative 6. So in order to graph this, the first thing we need to find is the y-intercept. The y-intercept happens when x is 0. So all we have to do is plug in 0 for x and solve for y. 0 squared plus 0 minus 6 is just negative 6. So our y-intercept is that point 0, negative 6. Let's go ahead and graph that. The y-intercept is always the point 0, c. The next thing we want to try and graph is the vertex. So the vertex, the equation for it is opposite of b over 2 times a. Notice it's x equals. So our b value again is 1, our a value is 1, so it's opposite of 1 over 2 times 1, which is negative 1/2. So this is our x value. In order to find the y value, I have to plug in negative 1/2 into my equation. So to find the y value, it's going to be negative 1/2 squared plus negative 1/2 minus 6. You should be able to do this without a calculator. Negative 1/2 squared is 1/4, minus 1/2 minus 6. Fractions, all you need to do is get a common denominator. So it's 1/4 minus 2/4 minus 24/4, and that is going to be negative 25/4. Now, since we're graphing this, we can just change it to a point. To a decimal. So the x value is negative 1/2, which is negative 0.5. The y value is negative 25/4, which is negative 6.25. And let's go ahead and graph that. It's really close to the y-axis. And the last thing we can find in standard form are the roots. The roots are where the y value is 0. So the easiest way to do this is to factor. If this equation doesn't factor, you can always use the quadratic formula. So this one does happen to factor. X squared plus x minus 6 turns into x plus 3 times x minus 2. I have two numbers here. The y value is going to be 0. I'm going to set each one of these numbers equal to 0. So the first number is x plus 3, and the second number is x minus 2. I'm going to set each one of these equal to 0 and solve for x. So x is either going to be negative 3 or x is going to be 2. Remember, these are points when the y value was 0. So one of the points is negative 3, 0. The other one is 2, 0. Okay, now we have quite a bit of information. The a value here in this equation tells me it's a positive 1, meaning it's going to be concave up. I can kind of see the graph now. All I need to do is sketch in the rest of it. Let's try the next one. We have y equals negative x squared minus 2x. Our a value here is negative 1. Our b value is negative 2. And there's no other number. Our c value in this case is going to be 0. So the y-intercept here is 0, 0. The next thing to find is the vertex. Remember, it's x equals the opposite of b over 2 times a. So the opposite of b would be positive 2 over 2 times a is negative 2. It simplifies down to negative 1. That's the x value of the vertex. I have to plug it in to find the y value. And if I simplify it, I would get 1. So my vertex is going to be 1, negative 1. Now, in order to factor this, if I look at it, there's an x that's common. So in order to find the roots, I'm going to try and factor it. X is common. I'm going to factor that out. I'm left with negative x minus 2. Remember, the y value is going to be 0. So again, I have two numbers. I have the one number x, and I have the other number, negative x minus 2. Both of these are multiplied together to get 0. So I have either x equals 0 or x equals negative 2. These are points, 0, 0, which we already knew, and negative 2, 0. Again, I have a pretty good idea of what this graph looks like. My a value is negative 1. It's going to be concave down, and here's what it looks like. Okay, here's the last one. I want you to go through these steps and graph this, and I will check it tomorrow in class. We'll use the other graphs that are empty for notes tomorrow.